Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, no matter where you're watching this live stream from. My name is Michael Firth, one of the founding Field Advisory Board members and Crowns with Neumi, and I do love doing these interviews as it comes up every week, which is 6 p.m. Mountain Time in USA, aligning with the corporate times. And today we're going to have a fantastic interview with someone I have a lot of respect for and get a lot of information out of this interview. But before I do, what I'd love you to do for me, this technology gets us right around the world, and there are Neumi members, about 200,000 across 74 countries. Type in the chat, where are you watching us from right now? We'd love to go back through and see, which country is winning in terms of how many people type in the chats. Keeping in mind that this is being live streamed on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, all over the place. So those comments will be wide and spread all over the place. Having said that too, what we always do is every week we draw a lucky winner where you may have typed in "pick me please" on one of the previous events on the Everything Neumi Worldwide page. So with that in mind, we've already drawn a winner from today, and the lady's name is Jessica Jadilla Oppo. Jessica Jadilla Oppo, if that's you, if you could do me a favor, go and send a private direct message to the page with your full mailing address, phone number, email address for postage, so we can put the tracking in there, and we'll get that happening straight away. Having said that, if you're watching this right now and you want to be a potential winner for next week, right now, before you forget, type in "pick me please" into the chat, and then sometime in the next 7 days, and when we get to our next interview, we'll then draw another lucky winner for a free bottle of our product. And if you don't know what our product is, go back to the person who invited you to this event and ask for more information. So today, we're really blessed to be interviewing somebody who is, I can say, is a very good friend of mine. Our background is we go back through meeting from another company in the past. This gentleman was very good friends with Steve Scott, the founder of Neumi as well. Having said that, I love when I talk to him online and people hear our accents, because you're going to hear him talk about things like gators, just kidding, with his accent. And here in Australia, being Aussie, apparently I have an accent as well. So with it in mind, please help me in welcoming our interview for today, which is James Lewis. So welcome, James.
Hey, thank you, Michael. It's great to be here. Great to participate in your call.
Love that accent, my friend. So the first thing I want to say is James, like myself, was around before we launched Neumi. In fact, he heard about it about 90 days prior to the start. And what I love to say is the very first diamond in the company within about 48 hours after launching, keeping in mind we had a 90-day run at it, first was James's LMV team, which is fantastic. So with that in mind, maybe so people can understand your background, not just from this industry, but maybe your background completely. How about we start with that? If you tell us a little bit about what you do for a living, or what you did for a living, and your industry background, James.
Sure. Glad to share, Michael. So pretty you can tell I spent my whole life in Southeast Georgia. That's why this accent is so strong. Uh, but graduated from high school in 1978, went off to college 1978, didn't know what I wanted to do. Graduated from Georgia Southern with a degree in uh, graphic arts and industrial management. And I came back, and my dad helped me initiate and start a printing business because I felt like I wanted to be close to my family. I didn't want to move off. So that's what we did. Uh, it was a good source of revenue and provision for my family. I did that for 30 years. And then at the end of the 30 years, there were some changes happening in that industry related to digital technology. It was going to take an influx of financing to some debt to make that happen. I chose to exit out of that industry, and I spent 14 years in the oil and gas industry around Savannah, Georgia, calling on industrial accounts and a professional salesperson for the oil and lubricant industry. One thing I realized when I retired from the oil and lubricant industry is I knew growing up and coming from a small town that I had to invest in multiple income streams to maintain a standard of living that was important, or I felt like would be good for me and my family. So I invested in a lot of things: real estate, a tree farm, commercial real estate, residential real estate, anything I could do to add income streams. And then in about 2010, I was introduced to the network marketing industry, direct sales channel, as we call it now. and it was appealing to me because I had a sales background. I went through a lot of bumps like everybody does, learning the industry and how to have success in the industry, but I fell in love with the business model because it is conducive to building relationships, which helped me fulfill my life purpose. So in 2010, I launched my first business. I met Michael in that company. I got to know Steve Scott in that company. And then I was taking a product, a glutathione enhancing product that I would have taken the rest of my life, very good product. I started seeing some posts Michael was making on a new technology for delivering glutathione. So I reached out to Michael and I was able to obtain some samples. Uh, I just quit taking the product I was taking one day. The next day I started swishing. I was swishing 3 times a day, and within 3 days I was detoxing again. And I hadn't had a detox experience in probably the last 7 years previous. So what that told me was this was a much more potent delivery of glutathione than anything I had. When I looked at the bottle and I saw the ingredients, glutathione was the first ingredient listed. So the first thing that popped in my mind, I said, Steve Scott has broken the code. So I had an extreme interest in starting and building in this new company of Steve's. I flew out to Salt Lake City, was able to meet with Steve, met with Aaron, uh, met with Alex Monterosa, and some others that were there. That was in April of 2021. When I came back, when I came back from that trip, I started making phone calls. And like Michael said, we launched in July, I believe July the 7th of 2021. And within 48 hours, we had a diamond center that we had built. So that's pretty much where I was at, Michael, and where we find ourselves now. And it's great to be here working with you and with Steve.
Beautiful, beautiful. And you'd be surprised how many people who'd used a glutathione supplement before, like James, then started taking our products and gone, man, this is a world deeper, much more effective product, and also a lot cheaper too. That's the other bonus. Now, having said that, I'd love to know, like I said, you were on board before the company started, like I was, but what was it that actually attracted you to Neumi in the first place? What was the core sort of reasons?
Right. So, to be honest with myself, I'd have to say Steve Scott attracted me too. When he left and retired from the other company, it took a lot of the zeal out of what I was trying to build and doing, but I was still loyal to the product. I was still introducing the product, but I had slowed down in a building mode. So when I saw Steve was involved in this new technology, it had that had definitely piqued my interest because I have a great admiration for Steve. Uh, I appreciate his heart and his desire to help people, and I was very intrigued by him being involved in this business.
It's interesting. I want to ask you a question. In every interview I've done with successful network marketing leaders that are involved with Neumi and in other companies around the world over my career, they always come back to saying passion and purpose are the key things. So what I would love to ask is, what would you say is your passion and purpose that drives you to be successful?
Yeah, that's probably an easy answer. I was the first, I mentioned being self-employed the first 30 years, then worked in the oil and gas industry for 14 years. I got trapped in the rat race. And a lot of my focus was on providing for my family and chasing money to do that. And I was literally in the rat race. When I retired from that, things changed in my life and I began to pursue purpose. And so that's an easy answer. The life purpose that I have and my goals and for achieving that life purpose come from my faith. Uh, I I want to be a good father. I want to grow in my faith. I want to be able to disciple, and when they pour dirt on my head, I want to know that I have discipled my family and in a way that's honoring and pleasing to the Lord. So that's the root of my life passion is pursuing purpose and finishing a race strong.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And, that's one of the things about the culture of people in Numi that you'll note. And, they say culture starts from the top down, leadership starts from the top down. And knowing that Steve said this isn't, if you see anyone in Numi doing this, they probably won't be here that long, because, flash
Yeah.
and cash, that's not what we're about. We're about making a difference. We're about having a purpose. And that's fantastic to hear. Now, there's a word in this industry which is servant leader. And I've met a lot of leaders as we've grown in Numi and before, I might add. And every now and then you come across someone who's egocentric. It's all about themselves. What can they achieve? And then you come across servant leaders, which is all about the greater good, making a difference. And I swear that if you went to Wikipedia and typed in servant leadership, I think you would find James Lewis's face from my experience.
Mm.
So, James, what's your opinion on this topic of servant leadership?
Well, that's a big compliment, Michael. But I come from the John Maxwell School of Leadership. He's got a book, The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. And I'm specifically attached to law number 10, which is defined as the law of connection. The law of connection states that people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And so the prod there is to touch a heart before you ask for a hand. And so all of those laws of leadership apply to me and my philosophy, but that's one that sticks out.
Beautiful. Love it. Now, people sometimes, and this is the purpose of these interviews, sometimes people go for quite a while in their career until they have a mentor say something that makes a huge difference in the trajectory of their business. And one of the biggest things that I'm passionate about, is because it's had a huge impact on me, is third-party validation. And I know that from your perspective, our Numi 123 process is one, connect to tools, two, connect to leaders, and then three, connect to product. And you and I have done a lot of calls, and you had a lot of calls upline
Yes.
with
Yeah.
Alex, with corporate, what have you. So, in your opinion, how important is third-party validation?
Well, Michael, it's how I built my business. And that's really the only way I know how to build the business is is by using third-party validation. And not only that, but probably the next most important thing besides the third-party validation is creating a duplicatable process or system, which corporate has really helped us in outlining the important factors of being able to do that and how to do that. And we've got the fast start sheet that we can bullet point check off list. But yes, between those two things, I could not have built my business. 95% of it was built, and because you're my sponsor and you're the one I reached out to for the most part for third party validation. But that is the key to building a business. You can't do it on your own.
Yeah, absolutely. Not only that, guys, there's word edification in the industry, which means to give credibility to, or, rubber stamp, if you like. And you can't edify yourself. If you say, oh, do you know who I am, how smart I am? People think, oh, God, move on. Whereas if somebody else says you are, then edification, people listen. And certainly I can edify James all day because, it's all real and coming from here. Now, one thing I want to say, and I know you won't mind me saying this, James. James is not an extrovert, if you haven't worked that out, right? You don't, and I want to say this, you don't need to be an extrovert to be successful in this industry. Sometimes there's this misconception that you've got to be the one that's out there and be the face and all that sort of stuff. I can tell you that James was asked and encouraged if I could interview him rather than him just going, chuck me on here, right?
Yeah.
So there's a truth in this that some people hear you can't teach an old dog new tricks, and I disagree with that. But there's some truth in the fact that you only grow when you're out of your comfort zone. Now, you've done all sorts of things that I've sort of pushed you to the edge and
Yes.
done that have made a
Yeah.
big difference. How important do you think it is for a leader to stay out of their comfort zone, James?
Well, you're either growing or dying. Nothing stays the same. You're either growing or dying. And I'm more comfortable working behind the scenes and working one-on-one with people. And I can get in front of a group, and I'm not shy about sharing my faith or anything else about the business as far as getting in front of a group. I am camera shy. There's something that puts up an alarm every time I see a camera, even if it's a little camera on a computer. But I'll tell you this. Here's what I have learned. If you will take the focus off of yourself and change that focus to helping others, you can have comfort in a very uncomfortable situation. And that's what I've tried to learn to do is, just say, hey, this is not about me. This is not about me. My focus needs to be on helping other people. And and when I do that and when I force myself to believe that is when life settles down and you can handle the uncomfort situations that maybe you're shy and you have trouble approaching people or crowd. You just put the focus on them, take it off of yourself.
Beautiful. What a great way to end an interview. That, my friends, that last question and last answer was probably one of the most powerful. I want everyone to know, it doesn't matter what personality type you are, make it not about you, like you said. Have a bigger purpose, a bigger passion to make a difference to the world. And then if you're outside your comfort zone, you're uncomfortable, you know that you're growing, but you're making a huge difference to the world. So thank you, James. I know the ripple effect from your perspective is the businesses now in all sorts of countries. I mean, it's going berserk in Israel, for example, and that came through a person who was in the team with James, which we'll interview in another interview as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, hope you got a lot out of this. Took some notes, send it through to your group to make sure they get some pearls of wisdom out of that. And I'll just remind you again that we'll be drawing a lucky winner of some free product next week as well. So if you're watching this right now, whether it's the recording after with the fact or whether it's live right now like we are, type in "pick me please" and then we might draw you as the lucky winner next week. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening. See you on the next